Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. The email lands while my thumbs still drip. David Carter, 36. I tap it open and the numbers punch through. Paternity probability for 4 shows 0. My grip slips on the counter edge. Lena watches me freeze and doesn't blink. I rotate the laptop so she can read. Explain, the word comes out steady, too steady. Her jaw tightens and her eyes jump away. The kids breathe upstairs, each breath a countdown. She folds her arms and dares me to push. The fifth kit waits in the drawer, unopened, unavoidable. I place it between us like a live switch. Tonight, I set the cap down and hold her gaze. She shakes her head and backs into the fridge. The refusal hits harder than the email. Are they safe? My voice feels like glass. She nods once, then wipes the same spot. I reach for my phone and start 9. Her hand snaps out and catches my wrist. We talk now or we talk with uniforms, I say. She motions to the back door without a word. I crack it open and hear a car idle nearby. We step outside and the air chills decisions. Not here, she hugs herself and looks past me. Inside her I call, I keep the door half open. Silence stretches, then her shoulders shake once. Lawyer first, the answer lands like a dare. Names, I keep my stance square and still. She blinks hard and chooses the porch rail. Check the safe, she whispers, almost too late. The safe hides behind the shoe rack, our weak secret. I spin the dial and pull the handle down. A slim folder sits ready like it expected me. Lena breathes fast as I lift the flap. Inside waits a letter and hospital forms that burn. Blood types shatter my math, 2 cannot connect to me. I steady the page and force myself through. A typed threat leers from the bottom line. Keep quiet or lose everything, no signature, just pressure. I raise the paper and let her watch me decide. Who? My finger taps the empty signature space. She stares at the hinge like it will answer. Her knuckles whiten around the frame and hold. Coach, the word slips out and hangs heavy. My memory throws up a whistle and a handshake. I take the fifth kit and set it down. Now my tone leaves no exits, only paths. She leans on the counter and doesn't move. A floorboard creaks above us, small feet shift. I lower my voice because alarms travel fast. Wake them and you end this, I tell her. She swallows, then twists the cap with trembling hands. A swab touches her cheek like a confession. She seals it and sets it next to mine. We both stare at the 2 tubes like grenades. Tomorrow morning, I schedule the drop with my thumb. She glances at the clock and flinches at the time. Does he know you kept records? I lift the folder. Her mouth opens, then shuts like a slammed gate. Then he learns that I have them, I say. A car door clicks out front, sharp, deliberate, close. Lena's face drains and her fingers curl tight. Don't, she whispers it like a prayer and a warning. I pocket the letter and lock the safe again. Whoever waits outside just changed the night. I flick the chain off and pull the door an inch. A figure shifts on the mat and angles his shoulder. Open up, a low voice practiced in calm. Lena stays behind me and grips the counter edge. I widen the gap until risk feels real. A badge flashes, not high enough to read. Noise complaint, he taps the frame and waits. No noise, I keep my foot planted and still. He leans in and sniffs for trouble like a dog. Then I'll speak with your wife, he says. I close the door to a slit and face Lena. She shakes her head once and mouths don't. The folder weighs under my arm like a brick. I pocket the letter and lock my jaw. The man outside knocks again, harder now. Step back, I open fully and hold my line. No uniform, just a blazer and a smirk. Delivery, he says, offering a slim envelope. I don't reach, he sets it on the threshold. From a friend who prefers quiet, he adds. Lena flinches and looks at the envelope like fire. Who sent you? I keep my hands visible and empty. Someone who wants the papers returned, he studies my eyes. Which papers? I drag time because footsteps creak upstairs. He nods toward the safe behind the shoes. You got the wrong house, I nudge the envelope inside. He doesn't follow, he smiles like a bet is won. Tomorrow noon, stadium lot, he taps 2 fingers twice. Or everyone learns something ugly, he steps off the porch. He doesn't turn his back until he reaches the walk. I shut the door and slide the lock up. Lena rubs her forearm and won't meet me. What happens at noon? I ask without looking away. She bites her lip and stares at the floor. Cash in silence, she mutters, barely a sound. How much? I pull my phone and open notes. She lifts 2 fingers and then adds a third. My stomach rolls and then steadies like concrete. Do we have it? I keep my voice even. She nods once, then shakes her head halfway. Not enough. I scan the env. A lobe without touching it. I tear it open with my knuckle and tilt the flap. Inside sits a photo of our youngest asleep. A message on the back reads, "Be smart and fast." My grip tightens until the card bends. We're not paying. I set the photo face down. We lock the doors and call someone real. Lena paces 3 steps and stops at the sink. If you call, he escalates, she whispers. Then we escalate first, I answer through my teeth. I take the 2 test tubes from the counter. I wrap them in a towel and slide them deep. Those leave the house now, I tell her. She points at the stairs and shakes her head. They wake if we move, she says with a wince. They wake anyway at 6, I answer and check the time. She nods toward the back and raises her chin. I crack the door and scan the yard for watchers. No headlights, no voices, only the faint hum of a car. I pocket the samples and the letter together. Where? She stands straight and blocks the doorway. To my brother, I start, then stop on purpose. The porch camera flashes a tiny blink. I kill the feed and pull the battery out. Not there, I correct, and her eyebrows lift. I dial a ride and drop a pin 2 streets over. We move through the hallway heel to toe. A nightlight glows and my oldest sits up. Bathroom, I whisper it and keep moving. He lies back down but his eyes stay open. In the laundry room, I lift the vent grate. I push the tubes into the duct and listen. They slide a foot and stop with a soft tap. I wedge the letter deeper with a hanger. Retrieve at dawn, I tell myself out loud. Back in the kitchen, Lena opens a drawer halfway. A spare phone sits wrapped with an elastic band. She flips it on and shows me the screen. A single thread, 1 contact, no name. Rules, she says, no calls after 10. What does he want besides money? I tap the counter. Her shoulders roll like she wants to shed skin. He wants you gone by week's end, her voice cracks. From the house or from them, I point upstairs. She looks sick and doesn't answer fast. Both, the word lands and keeps echoing. I hold the edge of the sink until it hurts. The phone in her palm buzzes once, then again. A new message appears with a location pin. Noon, Latsi, come alone, bring the files. I go, I say, and she shakes her head sharply. You'll be watched from the minute you leave. I take the burner and power it down. We flip this, I say, we bring a camera. She winces like the word stung. A shoe squeaks upstairs and a door clicks. My youngest appears in the hallway and rubs his eyes. Water, he hugs the wall and blinks at us. Lena pours and holds the cup with both hands. He drinks fast and studies our faces. Back to bed, champ, I ruffle his hair and steer him. He nods and shuffles off without another word. I wait until his door shuts and the latch settles. Then I grab the car keys and the small safe key. Garage, I say, and Lena knows why. We step into the cold and I pop the trunk. I lift the spare tire and tuck the envelope under it. I seal the compartment and lower the board slow. Plan A goes there at 6, I say. Plan B goes with me right now. Who's Plan B? She crosses her arms and waits. Someone who won't freeze when it turns ugly. I spin my phone and open a coded chat. I type 2 words and a time with a dot. The reply comes back before I lock the screen. Get some shoes, I head for the front. She grabs a jacket and swallows hard. We don't split tonight, she says without looking up. We split at the lot if he plays games. I flick the porch light off and listen at the door. The street sits quiet yet charged like a held breath. A cat darts across and vanishes under a fence. No car idling now, but the vibe stays wrong. I pocket the burner and grip the real phone tight. Drive around first, I tell her. We check the tail. We roll out slow and I watch the mirrors. 2 blocks clean, then a sedan clicks into view. It holds steady at a polite distance. Lena glances once and then fixes forward. Third right, I say, then left and stop. We cut the lights and wait in the dark. The sedan drifts past and eases to the corner. It pauses too long, then creeps forward again. I mark the plate in my head and exhale. Tomorrow we bring friends, I say, he won't like that. The back door latch ticks once and then holds. I'm moving before thought catches up. Kitchen chair scrapes as I clear the path. A shadow crosses the hallway toward the laundry. I grip the frame and step into him hard. We collide chest to chest and spill sideways. He swings wild and clips my shoulder. I drive forward and bounce him off the washer. A grunt, then a shove that frees his arm. He bolts for the yard and leaves a glove behind. I chase 2 strides and kill it at the threshold. No hero run tonight while they sleep. He vaults the fence and melts into hedges. Something clinks near my shoe and spins once. A kifo. B stops against the mat like a dare. I scoop the fob and lock every bolt. Lena stands in the hall with wide eyes. Inside the vent, I say, already turning. We kneel by the grate and lift it fast. One tube rests there alone like a target. Where's the other? My voice scratches across tile. Her hands hover, then reach deeper into the duct. Nothing, only dust and the faint scrape line. He knew exactly where to reach, I whisper. The missing sample changes tomorrow in one move. The burner vibrates from the drawer we left ajar. I flip it and stare at the new text. Time moved up to 10, same place, no cops. Bring the papers or the house wakes. My stomach drops and then locks in place. We counter now, I pull the slim folder. I slide the real sheets under a false bottom. The top gets copies that look official enough. Lena watches my hands like they belong to someone else. Camera, I tell her, we need an eye inside. I ping a contact with 2 words and a dot. A van icon replies with an ETA short and bold. Meet at the station, I say, and grab shoes. Lena zips her jacket and doesn't argue it. We leave a note for the oldest with 1 line. The street feels empty but wired like a tripline. I press the fob and listen for a chirp. Silence, then a faint blink from a sedan up block. I walk past it slow and tie a lace. The gym tag on the fob swings with a name. Miller Athletics hangs there like a label on guilt. I snap a photo and tuck the fob away. Lena breathes through her nose and keeps moving. The same initials, she murmurs with a flinch. Proof now wears plastic and a metal ring. At the gas station, my contact leans on a pump. He passes a tiny lens with a nod. No hugs, no chatter, just the tool and a warning. 2 angles or it gets blocked, he mutters. I see the lens under the folder's spine. Back home, I slide the decoy into the trunk well. The reel set goes under the spare again. I set the lens to record and tap the case twice. Lena stands guard at the door with steady hands. We both listen for another latch click that never comes. The oldest appears with a backpack and quiet eyes. Why are we leaving early? He looks at the clock. Errand, I answer, then squat to his height. You see a gray sedan yesterday. He nods once and draws a plate on his palm. I copy the numbers onto my wrist with a pen. Lock the door behind us and keep the dog inside. He nods again and reaches for the deadbolt. I pause long enough to squeeze his shoulder. After 10 we talk, I promise, no more hiding. We slide into the car and roll toward the meet. I check the mirror and count 1 car, then 2. The tagged sedan glides out from a side street. It settles behind a truck and stays covered. I steady my breathing and adjust my plan mid-turn. We don't drive straight in, I tell Lena. We loop once and test their patience. She drifts past the entrance and circles the block. The truck keeps pace while the sedan slices off. Someone else is waiting inside that lot already. I spot him first, lean stance by the pay station. Ball cap pulled low, hands tucked, head on a swivel. Lena slows near the exit ramp and keeps rolling. Second loop, I whisper, watching his shoes. He shifts his weight like he expects trouble. We drift past and circle the service road. The truck mirrors us and pretends not to. Cut right, I say, and Lena punches it once. We slip behind a shuttle bus and kill our signal. The truck hesitates and chooses the wrong lane. I text one word to the van icon. He confirms with a dot and a clock emoji. We split here, I tell Lena, hand on the handle. She grips my wrist and shakes her head fast. Together in, together out, she breathes. Then park near cameras, I answer and point up. We slide into a blue zone and face the gate. I take the decoy case and tuck the lens tight. You stay in sight lines, I say. She nods once and sets her jaw. Capman clocks us the moment I step out. He palms a remote and checks the rooftops. I close distance with steady steps and no smiles. You move the time, I open. You move the product, he counters with a twitch. The package is here, I lift the case halfway. The number doubled, he taps 2 fingers against his cap. That wasn't the deal, I answer without breaking cadence. It is now, he replies and lifts his chin. Or your house learns new stories. I tilt the case so the lens gets his face. Proof or it's theater, I tell him flat. He snaps and a sedan glides from behind a pillar. Rear door opens and a boy's bike helmet rolls out. My chest tightens but I keep my feet planted. Cute prop, I say, and he smiles at my bluff. He waves an SUV forward from the shadow lane. Window drops and the coach lanes in view. He doesn't look surprised to see me breathing. He looks irritated I kept pace. Finish this, the coach gestures without leaving the seat. Capman extends a hand for the case. Show me the missing piece first, I counter. He pats his pocket and pulls a tube. My stomach kicks at the blue label I recognize. That belongs to a lab, I say and step closer. He tucks it back and clicks his tongue. Belongs to whoever pays for it, he answers. I move the case toward him an inch. Payment requires authentication, I add and nod at the tube. He signals and another figure appears near the stairwell. A woman in scrubs holds a portable reader. She plugs in a strip and flicks a switch. Capman sets the tube down with care. Numbers bloom on the tiny screen like marching orders. Now you, he nods at the case. I kneel and spin the latches slow. The lens stares straight through the crack. I lift just enough to show white edges. He leans in and commits his whole face. The van guy's text taps my watch. 2 angles, live and clean. Trade then walk, Capman orders, getting impatient. Trade then answer, I reply, pointing at the SUV. Why the threats to the house? He smirks and glances at the coach. The man hates mess, he says with a shrug. Veer keeps mess small. The coach checks his watch and looks bored. Clock is moving, the coach grunts through the open window. I stand and hold the case at my side. Walk with me 10 steps, I demand. If you have friends, I want them to see you. He scoffs but follows, drawn by the prize. We stop beneath the nearest camera dome. Smile, I tell him and tap the case twice. He flips a bird at the lens and laughs. I lift the case then yank it back fast. He lunges and loses balance half a stride. The tube guy flinches and tightens his grip. Payment gets escrowed, I announce for the mics. If I vanish, this goes wide by noon. Capman freezes and recalculates. He looks at the coach for permission. The coach waves it off like a gnat. Fine, Capman growls and holds the tube out. We step toward each other and stop parallel. My hand meets his halfway and pauses. Put it on the ground, I say. Then you count to 3. He smirks again and kneels with a grunt. The tube kisses concrete and rolls half an inch. I lower the case until it hovers above his fingers. 1, I say and hold eye contact. 2, he repeats, too confident. On 3, I kick the tube back with the side of my shoe. It slides toward Lena's line like a slow serve. She jumps out and traps it under her heel. Capman lunges and I snap the case into his chest. He staggers and swears as the clasps pop open. Copies flutter, he snatches at them like a cat. The scrubs woman bolts and drops the reader. The coach curses and reaches for the door handle. I spin toward Lena and point at her foot. Pocket it and go, I bark without looking back. She scoops the tube and stuffs it deep. Capman recovers and grabs my collar. I twist out and drive a shoulder into his ribs. Air leaves him in a hot rush. He claws for balance and fails. Sirens start 3 blocks out and grow fast. Capman's eyes flicker from me to the ramp. The coach slams the SUV into reverse. Tires squeal and smoke lifts like a signal. I step between the bumper and Lena by instinct. The SUV lurches, then stops dead on a wheel clamp. My van friend stands 2 rows over with a phone. He winks once and pockets it like a card trick. Capman tries for the backseat and finds it locked. He spins and confronts me with empty hands. Game S done, I tell him and lift my own phone. Your face is everywhere within minutes. He looks past me at the camera dome. He sees his earlier salute and goes pale. Lena edges toward the exit with quick steps. 2 patrol cars swing in and box the path. The scrubs woman drops to her knees and sobs hard. Capman straightens and fixes a neutral stare. The coach glares at me like I cheated. Then he lifts both palms through the window. Talk through counsel, he tries, voice steady and cold. I use the pause to pass Lena the car key. She understands and angles toward the nearest lane. Take the long road home, I murmur. Check the duct first thing. An officer approaches and asks for names. I give the minimum and point at the camera. Evidence lives there, I add and nod at the dome. Another officer peers into the SUV and whistles low. The clamp glints under the rear wheel like a trap. They separate us and start questions rapid fire. I keep it tight and reference the tube. That item relates to a lab case. The officer pockets it into a marked bag. Capman watches the bag like it's his last meal. The coach tries a different route and softens his tone. Family matters should stay private, he says carefully. Kids deserve stability. My jaw sets as the sirens fade down. Then stop destabilizing them, I shoot back. Lena honks twice from the far exit. I catch the sound and hold Capman's stare. He blinks first and looks toward the blocked SUV. Backup arrives with body cams already rolling. The field tilts in our direction for the first time. An officer leads me to the hood for a statement. I lay out the meat and the threats in crisp beats. He nods and asks about the missing piece. I glance at the bag and keep my eyes calm. The original is safe, I say, the rest are copies. The coach hears that and finally flinches. He calculates and then shuts his eyes once. Call my lawyer, he mutters to Capman. Capman doesn't move because cuffs are on. I look at the stairwell and spot a tiny lens. The scrubs woman crawls toward it and tries to hide it. An officer lifts it with gloved fingers and logs it. Evidence recovered, he announces for the record. I breathe once and taste metal on my tongue. A clock on the pay station ticks past 10. An officer lifts the bag tube and asks for a ride. Station now or home first, his pen waits for my choice. Home, I answer, already texting Lena to stay moving. He nods once and waves me toward a cruiser. Capman watches as the door shuts on me hard. The radio spits our address and a unit confirms. I lock my eyes on the rear mirror and breathe slow. The coach stares through the windshield like a statue. He mouths something I cannot hear. I mouth back 3 words he understands too well. We stop 2 houses down and kill the siren. The porch camera is dark because I pulled it earlier. The front door sits closed but the deadbolt looks off. I step wide and let the officers clear rooms. A whisper answers from the hallway closet before they finish. My oldest cracks the door and holds a bat. 2 small faces peek behind his shirt. Quiet plan, he says, chin high and steady. I hug them quick and count heads twice. Anyone inside besides you, I ask, voice low. He nods toward the laundry and raises the bat again. An officer sweeps the room and points to the window. Scratches line the frame beside the vent. The grate shows a fresh bend at one corner. Someone reached and left in a hurry. Listen to this, my oldest says, pulling a phone. He hits play and a low chirp repeats twice. Then a short whistle, same 2 notes each time. My neck tightens because I know that habit. Capman warms up like that before every speech. The detective logs the audio and marks the time. I give the plate numbers inked on my wrist. He copies them and signals a patrol to canvas. You stay put for 1 hour, he orders. Then you move with us as a tail. The burner buzzes on the counter where I left it. New text from a hidden number with only 1 line. Return the folder by noon or the board calls CPS. I flip the phone face down and swallow a curse. They shifted targets because the clamp cut their legs. We take them out now, I tell the detective. He checks his watch and nods toward the kids. You got family close, he asks, already knowing the answer. Yes, I say, choosing a spot I never typed. 2 cars and no patterns, he adds, setting the rules. We pack fast without chatter or lists. Kids grab shoes and 1 favorite item each. I slide the decoy case into a trash bag. The real documents stay buried under the spare. The bag goes in recycle where eyes get lazy. Lena pulls in as we finish and keeps the engine running. I wave her out and draw a map on the dash. Gas on the way out, I say, tapping the route. Switch cars at the store and watch for the plate. She nods without questions because time is blood. We roll in formation to my brother's block. I circle once for tails and see none. He opens the side gate and ushers the kids through. No hugs, just a hand squeeze and a plan. Door stays locked, I tell him, eyes sharp. On the curb, I call a lawyer from the checklist. Emergency order, I say, giving names and threats. He snaps back with a courthouse meet time. Bring the text and the plate, he says. Bring the tube too, I answer, watching the street. The lab opens early for law enforcement requests. The detective pushes paperwork across the counter. The tech checks seals and logs my custody gaps. I hand over what we recovered at the lot. Prior sample was taken, I add, tapping the duck sketch. They process a quick read while we wait upright. A printer chirps and the tech calls me over. Preliminary supports paternity for the 5th with high probability. I grip the counter and force a nod only. Full panel by noon, the tech adds, eyes careful. I walk out and meet Lena under the awning. She searches my face because words are heavy. 1 is confirmed mine, I tell her clean. Her shoulders drop and rise again like a wave. We fight for all 5, I add, leaving no doubt. The lawyer meets us at a coffee line across the street. He reviews the video stills from the lot. He marks the whistle pattern like a signature. Judge likes concrete, not drama, he warns. We bring timestamps and chain, not feelings. He files on his tablet and pings the clerk. 10:30 hearing, he says, pocketing a stylus. You two speak only when addressed. I nod and Lena folds her arms tight. The clock on the wall crawls like wet paint. On the way to court, a school number flashes. I answer on speaker and a stern voice launches. Children absent and concerning reports from police. Welfare check scheduled now, the voice continues. Door stays closed until counsel arrives, I counter. Outside the courtroom, the coach waits with a lawyer. He wears a friendly smile that doesn't touch his eyes. Let us be reasonable, his lawyer starts with a warm tone. I stare at the clamp marks on his shoe polish. Reason arrived with handcuffs, I answer, stepping past. Inside, the judge listens and taps a pen. The detective lays out the meat with crisp beats. The lab swears to the preliminary result. The video still shows Capman flipping the camera off. The judge leans in and writes 3 short notes. Temporary protection granted, she rules, voice steady. No contact near home or school. Devices preserved and accounts flagged, she adds. Next hearing in 7 days. The gavel touches the block with a soft click. We exit into a hallway buzzing with low voices. The coach's lawyer approaches and lowers his pitch. Settle civil exposure early, he offers, eyes scanning. Hand the folder and take a stipend, he adds. I laugh once and it sounds like gravel. Lena tenses beside me and glances at the door. Walk, I tell her, moving toward the stairs. Behind us, the lawyer mutters about reputations. The detective peels off to file his report. My phone buzzes with a new unknown number. I answer and a soft voice comes through quick. I was the nurse, she says without flourish. I can give you the names and the transfers. She asks for immunity before speaking more. I hold my breath and ask for a time. Tonight, she says, after my shift ends. Quiet place with cameras and witnesses. I agree and send a public location pin. Bring the reader and the logs, I add. She hangs, up like a person who finally chose. Back at the house, an unmarked car waits curbside. 2 agents show credentials and ask for 10 minutes. They carry forms and a small recorder. Criminal coercion and medical tampering, one explains. I lead them to the vent and the scratches. They measure and collect a shard from the floor. One agent photographs my wrist with the plate numbers. The other downloads the porch cam from yesterday. We sign their chain and keep copies. They leave with a promise of fast work. My brother texts a photo from his living room. The kids play cards and argue about rules. A tiny victory, but my chest still aches. Stay until I call, I reply with a dot. He sends back a thumbs up and nothing else. At noon, the school board emails an urgent notice. Interim suspension for the coach pending investigation. Community meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning. Parents encouraged to submit any concerns. I forward it to the detective and the lawyer. Another text lands from the burner number. You just made it worse for everyone. Bring originals by 3 or the oldest gets a visit. I stare at the line and feel my teeth grind. They still think fear is currency. I record a 30-second video on my phone. I state the order number and the police case. I show the tube bag and the court stamp. I finish with the camera dome shot from the lot. Then I send it to 3 inboxes that like sunlight. Lena leans on the counter and finally speaks. There's another piece, she whispers, eyes fixed. I wait because silence pulls truth out. He used a second account with a different handler. She slides a paper with routing digits written small. Where did you get this? I ask without blinking. She taps her temple and the spare phone on the table. Numbers came through when the burner updated. I send them to the agents with a simple line. Another thread just loosened on their sweater. Afternoon drags until the nurse texts again. She confirms the meet and asks for a safe word. We choose a simple phrase that none of them used. I send the parking level and the camera pole number. She replies with an OK and 3 dots that vanish. I pick up the kids before the meet to be sure. We move them to a neighbor's basement with consent. Door shuts and the neighbor sets an alarm. I plant a spare key in a spot only my oldest knows. He nods like a soldier and salutes with 2 fingers. At dusk, we reach the garage and park near exits. The nurse appears with a tote and a stiff walk. She looks around once and then locks eyes on me. Safe word, I say, and she answers without a quiver. She opens the tote and reveals a ledger. Inside are dates and amounts and initials. A pattern leaps out with every line. Payments land after games and after clinics. 2 entries circle our last hospital visit. 1 lists a balance for silence due next week. She hands over a thumb drive and waits. It backs up to a cloud, she adds quickly. If I go missing, it moves to a reporter. I nod and give her the card from my lawyer. We'll bring you under the order tonight. A man leans on a pillar and studies our table. He lifts a phone and pretends to type. My neck prickles and I angle my body. Lena drifts to block his line with a card. He frowns and tries a better angle. I wave the van contact from a bench near the exit. He stands and walks between us and the watcher. A quick bump in the phone clatters to the ground. The man picks it up and heads for the stairs. Security turns toward him almost on cue. We leave with the ledger under my arm. The detective meets us outside with 2 uniforms. He scans the pages and whistles through his teeth. This is more than a custody fight, he says. This is enterprise territory with bodies on the hook. Back home, the order pings to my inbox. Permanent phone restrictions and geofence near school. Violation triggers a fast arrest and a new charge. I forward it to every device in the house. We tape a copy inside the front closet for emphasis. The kids ask for a bedtime calendar change. I keep it light and promise pancakes tomorrow. My oldest watches me like a lie detector. I'm here, I tell him, hand on his shoulder. I will be here in the morning. Lena sits at the table after they sleep. She rubs a ring mark on her finger slowly. I will tell them the truth, she says finally. Not all of it, I counter, only what keeps them safe. She nods and swallows like the word cut. My phone vibrates with a voicemail transcription. A distorted voice mentions the board and a leak. Documents will drop if you keep pressing, it threatens. It includes a link and a timer that counts down. I copy the link to the detective and hold my breath. He calls back within 60 seconds. Do not click, he orders, voice clipped. Sending cyber to sandbox it now. I nod and stare at the timer anyway. 3 hours left until someone lights a match. I step onto the porch and let the night press in. A car rolls slow past and does not stop. I record a quick sweep with the street in frame. I text it to the neighbor for extra eyes. Then I lock the door and wedge a chair under the knob. In the living room, I spread the ledger and the texts. I map the dates against the games and the clinics. 3 names repeat on the right margin with dots. One is the coach, one is Capman, one is new. The new one matches the board treasurer. I photograph that page and send it to the agents. I add a line about meeting minutes and posted budgets. If those numbers conflict, we own tomorrow. My watch buzzes with a new mail from the board. Emergency meeting moved to tonight due to developments. I book a public comment slot with my initials. The system confirms and publishes the list. I send the link to parents in the team group. Ping after ping lights the thread like fireworks. The room tomorrow just became tonight. Before we leave, I kneel by the kids' door. I listen to the steady rhythm of 4 breaths. I rest my forehead on the frame for 1 beat. Then I stand and put the ledger in my bag. We step into the hall and head for the fight. At the meeting, the treasurer scans the crowd and swallows. He avoids the front row where cameras point. I wait for public comment and still my hands. When my turn flashes, I walk to the mic. I place the ledger on the stand and open to the page. Transactions tied to access and threats, I begin. Amounts aligned with clinic visits and games. I read 3 dates and pause for the hush. The treasurer looks at the ceiling and shifts. The coach's chair sits empty with a nameplate. Parents erupt and the board bangs for order. I hold up the signed chain from the lot. I point to the camera system number and the time. I end with the whistle pattern recorded by my son. The room inhales and the treasurer finally stands. We need counsel, he sputters, face tight. I step back and let the detective take the floor. He announces the ongoing case and the order. He asks for any further evidence tonight. Hands rise across the room like a field. We exit under a wave of voices and phones. Lena grips my sleeve and steadies her breath. My own pulse slams in my ears like a drum. The detective leans close and gives a final instruction. Go home now and lock it down. On the porch, we find a padded envelope. No stamp, no name, only a smear of ink. I carry it to the sink and slice the edge. Inside rests a final lab printout and a tiny sock. A note on top reads, "We are not done." I dump the sock and the printout on the table. Trace it, I tell the detective on speaker. He confirms the courier used our block minutes ago. Stay inside until units sweep, he adds. A shadow moves across the porch glass and stops. The burner lights again with a live call. Originals for the kid, the voice whispers, hiding breath. 15 minutes, rec center lot, no escorts. I keep him talking while I open the back app. The treasurer's number pings inside the same cell range. Proof the child breathes right now, I demand. A muffled shuffle, then my oldest says my name once. His tone is calm like we practiced yesterday. I smile for him and stall 3 seconds. The neighbor's alarm wails 2 blocks over like a siren. The detective texts me at the park already. He wants the decoy and the ledger copy. Lena hands me the trash bag with steady fingers. We bring noise if they try a snatch, she says. I tuck the sock in my pocket for leverage. We roll quiet to the curb and kill the engine. I shoulder the bag and walk straight, no pause. 2 cameras cover the benches and the gate. The nurse stands nearby pretending to scroll. She nods at a black sedan idling under a tree. The handler exits first and checks hands. The treasurer lingers behind him with a hood pulled up. Show what you promised, I say, raising my phone. A video opens with my living room in frame. A gloved hand jiggles a doorknob that will not turn. That door is double locked, I tell them, breathing even. You want the originals, then unwrap your mess. The handler lifts a cheap walkie and clicks twice. My neighbor's voice answers loud and mocking. You just tripped my driveway cam, genius. The treasurer flinches and pushes the handler forward. Swap and we vanish, he mutters, eyes darting. Ledger first, I counter, tapping the tote copy. The nurse lifts her phone and starts a clear recording. State your names and intent, she says, eyes steady. The handler smirks and steps into the camera cone. Take it, he growls, reaching for the bag. I hold it back an inch and look at the hood. Bored man speaks or no one eats, I tell him. He yanks the hood down and shows his face. Stop the leaks, the treasurer blurts, hands shaking. Shut the families up for a week. The nurse zooms on his lips for clarity. The detective nods from behind a tree and moves. Two officers rise from the blee. Acres like ghosts. The handler sees the shift and goes for my wrist. I drop the bag and slam his hand to the rail. He stumbles and the decoy bursts open. Paper floods the walkway like a blizzard. The sock rolls between his shoes and stops. He grabs the sock without thinking and freezes. The detective steps in and clamps the cuffs. The treasurer bolts toward the lot in a blind sprint. I chase 3 strides, then pull up hard. My phone shows our house camera is still quiet. The treasurer tries a door and finds it locked. Patrol cars slide in and finish the angle. He flattens against a hood and shuts his eyes. The nurse lowers her phone and exhales once. Her tote hides the real ledger that never moved. I walk to the handler and hold out the printout. This ends now, I tell him, voice flat. He looks at the sock and finally breaks. Coach bankrolled it, he mutters, I collected. The detective records every word like gold. We ride back under escort and enter slow. I open the vent and pull the last cash. The lab courier waits with a sealed envelope. He matches my code and hands it over. Final results confirm the 5th unequivocally mine. Lena sits with hands folded and eyes lifted. We divide the rest with counsel, I say. We tell them tonight with me in the room. She nods and wipes a tear she doesn't hide. The phone buzzes with the judge's stamped order. I gather the kids in the living room and kneel. I chose court because fear tried to buy us, I say. You are safe and we stay a team. My oldest watches me like a referee and relaxes. He reaches for my hand and doesn't let go. Outside, sirens fade and tires whisper past the curb. I tape the order inside the closet at eye level. I place the ledger in a fireproof pouch near my feet. The nurse texts one word, protected, and a check mark. I look at the kids and choose our next move out loud. Bags in the car before dawn, I tell them. School with escorts, court after lunch, pancakes after that. 4 heads nod in tired rhythm. Lena brings blankets and sits on the floor. We make our circle and wait for morning to blink.